So up until very recently, I was a compulsive Looksmaxxer. I was obsessed. And I was convinced that the difference between getting girls and not getting girls came down to 100% of the time the way you looked. Because that had been my experience in life up to this point. Like, I remember back in the day, the first time I ever felt insecure about my body was when a girl I was into just called me skinny out of nowhere, just like a passing comment. And I never even thought about my body in that way before. I didn't consider myself skinny. Then suddenly I was aware of that and I became quite insecure. And then when I did start going to the gym and packing on a decent amount of muscle, I saw the way girls behaved around me afterwards, the validation I received. So I thought that, this must be the way forward, upgrading my physical attractiveness. And I did what a lot of guys do after their first proper breakup. I broke up with my girlfriend of 2 years. And I thought, right, I'm going to go all in on this Looksmaxxing stuff. I'm going to go gym 4 times a week. I'm going to find every little improvement I can make to my physical appearance. And that's how I'm going to get a new girlfriend, or that's how I'm going to go on so many dates with loads of girls. And that breakup was quite a while ago, but it wasn't until about 3 months ago when Looksmaxxing became a real obsession. Because this is when I started cold approaching. I said that, right, I want to go on more dates. I want more abundance in my dating life, so I'm going to start cold approaching. And naturally, if you're going to be doing that, because cold approach is quite an intimidating thing to do, I want to give myself every advantage. I want to go into that situation looking my absolute best. So I started to become obsessed with all these little things. I started taping my mouth at night so I could practice mewing whilst I was asleep. I was refusing to chew food on either side of my mouth. I had to be down the front, so I would get hollow cheeks. I would look like a model. Started drinking coffee exclusively through a straw so I wouldn't stain my teeth. I wanted those pearly white teeth. I want you to understand, I was binge watching these Looksmaxxing videos. I was going in depth, looking for all the most obscure tips I could find to just look that little bit better. And I told myself that this was all for the greater good. This was all necessary so I could be confident when I finally did go out cold approaching. So let me tell you how my first few sessions went. My first few sessions where I actually tried to approach some girls. So I'd be walking around the city. I'd be feeling good. I'd spent at least an hour on my appearance. I was dressed in some nice clothes, had a fresh haircut. I was looking good. And I was feeling good as well. But then I'd pass by a reflective surface. I'd see my reflection in a mirror and I'd see a bit of my hair sticking out. And suddenly that shatters this illusion of perfection I've created for myself. I'm starting to get paranoid. How long has my hair been like that? How many people have seen me looking a little bit stupid like this? So immediately I'm running off to the nearest bathroom I can find so I can check myself in the mirror. I can reset my hairstyle, make sure I'm looking fresh again. And I go out and I'm okay, I'm actually going to speak to some girls now. Then something would happen. A gust of wind would go through my hair and mess it up again. And now I'm fuck, I need to go and fix this. And I've gone back and fixed my hair for the second time now. But it's something has been lost. That paranoia, that general level of self-consciousness about the way I look is sticking in my brain. It's affecting my decision making. Now I don't want to go and put my ego on the line by approaching some girls. I don't want to do this high stress activity. I'm kind of just feeling demotivated. I want to give up and go home. And sometimes that's what I did. I would go out for hours at a time, somehow become really fixated on my appearance, just lose all the confidence I'd built up during that day and just head home. It'd all have been for nothing. So as the weeks go by, I'm still trying to build up this skill of cold approach, which is a very difficult skill to build up, but I'm just getting nowhere. I'm falling into the same traps every time, just feeling super self-conscious about the way I look. And I finally say to myself, something's got to change. So this particular week, I set myself the target of doing 10 approaches. And the condition here is they do not have to be perfect. it could be 10 approaches and 10 rejections. They could be the most messy and ungraceful approaches ever. I've just got to do them for the sake of doing them. So I commit to doing a session on a Tuesday night after work. And coincidentally, I am fighting off this flu bug. I'm feeling really sick. I almost didn't go into work that day. I actually went home early because I was feeling that sick. So I've got all these flu symptoms, just feel mentally shit, but I still commit to going out. Like, I've set the intention, now I've got to follow through. So I check myself over in the mirror before I leave, and I look like absolute trash. Like, you can tell I'm sick. My skin's all pale. I've got these like eye bags under my eyes because I haven't slept properly. Bro, fucking like snot is streaming from my nose. I look disgusting. But I say, like, this is an opportunity to get over that kind of lingering paranoia about the way I look. Like, if I can go out and at least approach one girl looking the way I do, then that's a win. So I'm going around the mall and I do like a couple of approaches, but they're not anything super direct. Like, sometimes I'll do that. I'll just like speak to a girl, but not really get my intentions across, just as a way of warming up. And then maybe if there's like a bit of rapport there, then I'll like ask her for her Instagram at the end. But it's nothing super direct. And then kind of as I'm about to call it quits, I see this girl in a shop. She's like working there. And I say, right, I'm going to make this my like one super direct approach of the day. I'm just going to walk over there and tell her I think she's cute. And that's what I do. And I don't think, just sometimes based off the way a girl looks, maybe if it is like quite a hot girl, I just assume she's not going to be interested, but I still did it anyway. And this ended up being my best ever cold approach. The conversation was just flowing. I was nervous at first, but like we had this natural chemistry that made both of us relax a little bit. And it just went super well. Like, it was a super wholesome conversation. Got her Instagram at the end, and then we went on a date the week after. And I remember going home that night and thinking like, wow, I've given myself so much grief, such a hard time over these last few weeks about my appearance and looking less than perfect. But I've just gone out as this like disgusting mess of a human, and I've managed to pull a bad pitch. So that instance and a lot of experiences since then have kind of led me to the conclusion that maybe looks don't matter as much as I previously thought. And also maybe the Looksmaxxing kind of did more harm than good. So a lot of people are probably going to be on me for that and say that like, oh, are you saying that looks don't matter? If that's the case, then what's stopping some obese guy from just going and pulling some supermodel? Like, I'm not saying that looks don't matter at all. Like, you should have a general level of respect for yourself. You should want to be in good shape. You should be well groomed. Like, I still go to the gym 4 times a week, still get haircuts every 2 weeks. That is the standard I set for myself. In these situations, you want to give yourself a fair chance. You just don't want to take it to the extreme. Like, back then, I would have thought that the difference between me getting laid or not was like an unplucked hair in between my eyebrows. Like, I took it to this extreme level. The way you got to look at it is that looks will, at best, open the door for you. They're not going to get you over the line. They're not going to give you that natural charisma. They're not suddenly going to make you feel comfortable and confident in situations that you have no experience in. And actually, I can tell you that putting maximum effort into my appearance actually made me more self-conscious than I was when I wasn't so fixated on how I looked. And I think that's because deep down I didn't think I had anything to offer beyond looks. Like, as sad as it sounds, I didn't think a girl would want to spend time with me. And that's because I knew that I hadn't put time into practicing those things which will actually make a difference. My social skills, or should I say my level of social comfort, was very underdeveloped. I had a lot of nerves and anxiety going into a situation like that, doing cold approach, purely because it was something I hadn't practiced very much. But I think trying to look my best, trying to present to the world this perfect version of myself, was my way of controlling these girls' perceptions of me. I thought that by somehow controlling their perception of me, that's going to minimize the amount of rejections I get, which is actually just stupid as fuck, because naturally there are going to be girls that I'm just not compatible with. I could be the most handsome guy in the world and some girls just aren't going to like my energy and they're going to reject me. That is just the reality of life. You might have also had the thought that me, when I'm not trying, is still somehow better than most guys, or maybe I'm just like conventionally attractive or something. And I'll repeat again that that period in which I was so focused on the way I looked, like I looked immaculate every time I left the house. Like I was proud of how well groomed I was and like how my hair was styled. I wasn't getting no girls. I was getting zero actual attention from girls. Like I might get like the odd look on the street, but that's not what I want, man. Like most guys want intimacy. Most guys want to go on dates. Most guys are kind of craving the things that guys crave. And that's not just like simple exchanging of looks on the street. And I've known so many handsome guys, like much better looking guys than me, who fumble it with girls constantly, just because sure, they have chances, like their looks open up doors, but they don't know how to act. Like they don't have natural charisma, or they haven't spent time developing that charisma. And honestly, like being brutally honest, they're just not fun to be around. Girls don't find them a good time. And we're also kind of seeing the rise of the ugly hot guy archetype in our society and like popular culture. Like someone like Pete Davidson, he's like getting with all like the hottest celebrities and stuff. Like this guy's got a new girlfriend every week, and they're always some like A-lister. When like, let's be honest, he's not the best looking guy. Like I'm not trying to tear him down or nothing. He's not a conventionally attractive looking guy. But what's attractive about him is he's got a very strong character. He knows himself very well. And despite like physical flaws, he's not needy. Like he's not needy at all. Like hyperfixating on your flaws and the things that you can't control about the way you look, like the shape of your nose or like your eye shape or something like that. Just these really trivial things. That is needy. That is letting, I don't know, like society or someone else dictate whether you are attractive, whether you're allowed to be an attractive person, or whether you're worthy of affection from girls. Like that is not something you should let someone else dictate. That is a choice that you consciously make. You can embody the energy and the character of like fucking spineless person who doesn't think he's worthy of anything good. Or you can be that confident character, like you can own your flaws. You can focus on improving the things that you can control and the things that will like really make a difference, like working out and getting regular haircuts. And finally, what if that girl that I approached, who at the time, honestly, I thought she was out of my league. What if she just had low standards? What if she just like has particularly low standards in men? And honestly, that is a thought that ran through my mind when I was walking home. Like, surely there has to be some kind of catch. Like, I felt ugly as fuck and disgusting that day compared to what I usually look like. Like, this must be the exception instead of the rule. Surely this is like a 1 in a million occurrence. This is never going to happen again. And I kind of internalized that belief. Like, I did kind of think that this was just some kind of fluke, but I didn't let it deter me. And I kind of took that experience forward and used it as that wake-up call to like stop being so obsessive compulsive about your looks. In those like future sessions where I went out cold approaching, where I didn't like really fixate on like my appearance before I went out, I still saw a decent amount of success. I got some rejections and I got some numbers. Like I was getting enough positive reference experiences to tell me that actually this is not just a fluke. Like all my flaws taken into account, all my physical flaws, there are some girls out there who do find me attractive. It's not absolutely every girl, but I can say with certainty there are some girls that like me. You know, to some extent I am worthy beyond the way that I look. Some girls just like my character. And I think the parting message that I want to give you is beyond just not fixating on your looks and making it so that your confidence is so dependent on your physical appearance. I just want you to know that your value, that everything you have to offer as a person is so much more than what you look like. Like, you are unique. You are an individual. You have your own interests. Like, you have a story, and that is valuable. That is valuable to share. So whilst you shouldn't neglect your appearance totally, it's very important to keep that in mind. So I'll see you in the next one, bro. Have a good one.